Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's our trend unit, and we're talking about something that is becoming very popular. That's why it's a trend. If it's a trend, more and more people are trying something new, or maybe it's something that used to be popular in the past and is making a comeback. This, I think, is interesting. When we were growing up, I remember in elementary school, we made terrariums in class as little kids, and they're kind of fun because you take them home and you see how long your plants will live before they die, before you kill them. But hopefully, these are something that you can make and put in your homes, and they last forever, and it just brings a lot of beauty and nature inside, which is nice.
It's a different way to play with plants. I know a lot of people out there love plants. I know you like plants, Stephanie.
Yep.
And we've got plants at my house as well. Not inside, though. They're mostly outside, and they're mostly weeds that I got to cut out all the time. But in any case, yes, people love plants. They add some kind of special spiritual meaning to life if you can work with plants. I think it's because they're living things.
They clean the air, too.
They clean the air as well. And, of course, they're like your little children, that you're taking care of and watering every day. And there are different ways to work with plants. And, again, specifically today, we're going to be talking about something called a terrarium. Ooh, that's a difficult word for even a native speaker to say. Terrarium. And it's nature's beauty in glass jars. Let's find out what terrariums are all about. Let's listen to our article now read from top to bottom.
In the world of DIY and crafts, creating terrariums has emerged as a beloved trend. Whether you have a spacious garden or a compact apartment, anyone can enjoy the beauty of nature at their fingertips with these miniature gardens. But what are terrariums, and why have they taken the world by storm? A terrarium is a sealed glass container that supports plant growth without daily watering. This concept was first developed in the 19th century by Nathaniel Bagshaw Ward, an English botanist. While experimenting, Ward accidentally discovered that ferns could grow well in a sealed jar. This observation led to the creation of the Wardian case, an early type of terrarium that changed the way plants are transported worldwide. The principle involves utilizing a simple but effective water cycle. Water in the soil is absorbed by the plant roots and then released from the leaves. It gathers on the glass and drips back into the soil, allowing plants to thrive with minimal care. Today, building a terrarium combines creativity with scientific principles. Start by choosing a clear glass container with a wide opening. At the bottom, layer stones or pebbles to help water flow out, and then add activated charcoal to maintain a clean environment. Next, put in moist soil and select plants suited for humid conditions, such as ferns or moss. Incorporate decorations like rocks, wood, or small statues to make your terrarium your own. Finally, place it in an area with indirect sunlight and watch as it transforms into a source of natural beauty. Besides their visual appeal, terrariums offer substantial benefits. Research has confirmed the positive psychological effects of nature and gardening. Assembling a terrarium is healing, aiding in stress relief and improving mental health. This process also sparks creativity and allows for personal expression. Additionally, terrariums serve as practical demonstrations of ecological principles, teaching valuable lessons about plant care and ecology. Building a terrarium is an accessible project for everyone and ideal for today's busy lifestyles, thanks to their low-maintenance nature. So why not join the terrarium trend? Release your creativity and enjoy the satisfaction of growing your very own miniature oasis. Okay, guys, let's dive in. Terrariums. Those are hard. That's a hard word to say, like Tom said. Terrarium. That's what we call them. They're these glass jars that have plants and rocks inside them and soil, of course. You need some dirt. And your plants grow actually very well inside. The water system works where it just keeps giving itself water because of the humidity inside that glass jar. It's kind of nice, especially if you live in a place that's very dry, like Arizona, where I grew up. A terrarium was nice because there is no humidity in Arizona. In fact, when we'd get like 20% humidity, people in Arizona would say, "Oh, it's so humid today." And here in Taiwan, when it's 50% humidity, I'll say to friends, "Oh, it's so dry today."
It's weird. It's a different kind of perception depending on where you are. But again, we're talking about terrariums, and they are nature's beauty in glass jars. So again, these are plants that are grown inside glass. I think it's a self-contained ecosystem, basically.
You have to put a lid on top of your opening of your glass jar.
It's not open, and it has its own little water recycling system that it uses to keep the plants alive. I think you probably also need to expose them to sunlight so the plants can produce photosynthesis and things like that. Otherwise, the plants would die. But in the world of DIY and crafts, creating terrariums has emerged as a beloved trend, or a beloved trend. You can say it either way. Here, we're talking about DIY, do-it-yourself, and crafts. People put things together using arts and crafts like knitting and carving and things like that. So here, creating terrariums is a new trend. Okay, a lot of people are making their own terrariums nowadays.
So whether you have a spacious garden or a compact apartment, a very small apartment like me, anyone can enjoy the beauty of nature at their fingertips. If something's at your fingertips, it's just very close. It's convenient. Spacious, which is describing garden, just means there's a lot of room. Who has land to grow their own garden? Or in my case, I want a vegetable garden, but I have no land. So I'm stuck in this tiny apartment. If I want to have some plants, I'm going to have to get some pots, or in this case, a glass jar, and plant some plants in that. It's really an interesting experiment. I think it's a great thing for kids. So if we have parents listening to this, or if you're young, go out and get yourself a glass jar and try this. I think you'll enjoy this experiment to see how water works, how the water condenses in the glass jar. You really don't have to water it once you water it the first time you plant it. It's kind of a cool system. Let's get back to this, though. People usually don't have a spacious garden, but even if you do, maybe you want to bring some plants inside. I know in Taiwan, the Taiwanese folks tend to keep their plants outside. I've had people come into my apartment to fix something, that's broken, and they'll go, "Wow, you have a lot of plants." But we like plants inside in America, we call them indoor plants. You get plants that don't need a lot of direct sunlight or even a lot of sunlight. Otherwise, they will die. We're going to talk about these, though. They do need some sunlight. Tom, you asked that. It needs indirect sunlight. You don't want sunlight, actually, a sunbeam or a ray of sunshine hitting the glass because it could burn them up. It gets very hot with that light and glass together.
Yeah, the glass would create the greenhouse effect, and it would get hotter and hotter in there, and the plants would die. So yes, you'd probably need to use indirect sunlight. And yes, indeed, you can enjoy the beauty of nature in your compact apartment or maybe on your balcony, on your yangtai.
Sure.
You can do it there. And these are miniature gardens, okay? Miniature, okay? That just means small, usually the smaller version of something large. Like, for example, if you buy toy cars in a toy store, well, they're usually miniatures of larger cars. Maybe it's a miniature of a Toyota Corolla or something like that. It's a small version of something that's usually large. And here the word is spelled, it's pronounced miniature, but a lot of people kind of scrunch it together and say miniature.
It's actually correct. Sure. Yeah, I looked it up. You can say miniature, And sometimes Americans, we get sloppy talking to each other. I know I grew up saying miniature, and I looked it up, and it is correct. But if you want to try to say it miniature, you can practice. It's a little more difficult, I know. They're both fine. But other things that we have that are mini or miniatures are dolls. A lot of people have miniature dolls. Also, in my neighborhood, I'm very close to Fuxing Nanlu. There is a bakery in my neighborhood that has a tiny little miniature bakery in their window. It's so cool. It looks just like their own bakery. I don't know who did it. It's out of wood, and they've painted it. It's really cute. Those are very fun to see.
That reminds me, I think there's a miniature museum in Taipei here on Jianguo North Road somewhere. I haven't been there in years, but I remember being very impressed by it. Lots of small things in there that you can check out. But let's move on. Let's move on and continue talking about terrariums. So what are terrariums, and why have they taken the world by storm? If something takes the world by storm, it just means it's gotten very, very popular very, very quickly. Yeah, what the heck are terrariums?
Well, in the next paragraph, it actually gives a definition. It tries to help us understand what they are. It's a sealed glass container, so it holds something, and it supports plant growth without daily watering. Yeah, usually you have to make sure you're giving your plants enough water. I do not water my indoor plants daily. That would kill them. They don't get a lot of sunlight, and so the soil doesn't dry out so fast. Now, who came up with this brilliant concept or this brilliant idea? A guy from the UK, an Englishman. It's a concept, and that just means idea, was first developed in the 19th century, which is the 1800s. This was long ago, and this guy's name was Nathaniel Bagshaw Ward. And his official job or career or profession was being a botanist. A botanist is a scientist who studies plants. They study everything about plants. So this was what he did for a living, and he came up with this idea on his own.
Exactly, and it's not surprising because we all know the English love their gardens. They love plants. We have some English friends ourselves who swear by their plants. They love working in the garden and things like that. So yes, it was developed in the 19th century or the 1800s by this Englishman who was a botanist, again, a person who studies plants. And while experimenting, Ward accidentally discovered that ferns grow well in a sealed jar. So ferns, that's a kind of plant. I don't know, how do you explain it? They don't really have flowers, but they have really broad not really broad leaves, but like lots of small leaves that are long at the bottom and smaller at the top.
They look kind of feathery-like. They look like feathers. They're not easy to grow. I wanted to mention that. But he discovered that if he put them in a sealed jar and didn't overwater them or underwater them and let nature just handle them itself using this terrarium, they do okay. We're going to talk more about this, guys, but it's time right now to listen for a few minutes to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是11月18号 Unit 9 Terrariums Nature's Beauty in Glass Jars。这个单元介绍的是手作生态瓶。不晓得大家喜不喜欢接近自然环境？现在生活紧凑，那生活空间也很狭小，有很多人就算喜欢大自然，未必有时间可以走到户外欣赏绿色植物。不过本文介绍了 Terrarium， 就是手作生态瓶。大家有机会可以用自己的巧手制作迷你的自然生态系，让自己舒压，甚至于可以玩玩创意，加以装饰，展现自己的创新能力。好，我们一起来看学习重点吧。请同学看到第一段的第一个句子 In the world of DIY and crafts， 请同学特别注意的是 craft 和另外一个字其实是同义，什么字 ？handicraft Handicraft 手工艺品。所以这个字其实可以当作手工艺品，那它也可以是手工艺，这个技巧，这个能力。好，再来我们来看第二个句子。那 whether you have， 那不论你怎么样或怎么样 whether 后面加 A or B 呢，就这两个条件其中一个，你有很大的花园 spacious 很宽敞的 or compact apartment 或者呢你的公寓很狭小，那怎么样每个人都可以去做这个手作生态瓶。好，再来请同学看到第3个句子，那因为这个手工艺品很受欢迎，所以有一个英文的片语 take the world by storm。 好，那这里呢是用现在完成式表示这已经是一个风潮了。再来我们看到第2段的第1个句子，那到底这个所谓的手作生态瓶是什么？ It's a sealed glass container， 所以是个玻璃容器，而且呢是密封起来的 sealed。 那再来呢就是我们知道说它有一个特色 without daily watering， 所以植物呢不需要每天去浇水，它一样能够生長。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Let's continue talking about terrariums. And where we left off, we were talking about where this idea came from. This concept was first developed by an Englishman, Nathaniel Bagshaw Ward, and he accidentally discovered that ferns could grow well in a sealed jar. This is how a lot of discoveries are made. They're made accidentally. He maybe had a fern inside a glass jar by accident. He forgot all about it, and he noticed that, hey, it's growing quite well inside that sealed jar, and the idea took off from there, and he perfected it, and other people started doing it too. So that's where the idea came from.
Now, it says here in the next sentence, this observation led to the creation of the Wardian case, and that's what they were calling this new concept. An observation is when you look at something, you observe something, you're trying to figure something out or maybe get some information. So you'll watch it closely. That's observation. If you're in the hospital, for example, you'll be under observation. They'll constantly check on you. The nurses will see how your blood pressure's doing. If you're in pain, you're under observation. They're constantly looking. Well, he would look at what was going on, and this led to the creation of the Wardian case. That's what they're calling this. When you create something, you make something that's brand new. Maybe no one's ever done it before. So creating makes us feel good about life. I think it makes us feel alive. So if you're not creating something, get busy. Start doing that. It'll make you feel better about life. The creation, the beginning of something brand new, took place in the 1800s when he came up with this idea that, hey, I could put some plants in a closed or a sealed glass jar and they're fine if I don't water them. That's kind of crazy.
Right, and this is an early type of terrarium that changed the way plants are transported worldwide. So I guess this particular invention helped plants be transported to other countries from other countries. Whereas in the past, if they tried to send plants to other countries, they probably died on the ship on the way there. So terrariums could keep them alive, and therefore plants started to spread around the world. That may be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what kind of plants they are. But the principle or the idea involves utilizing a simple but effective water cycle. So that's basically what the principle involves, or what it contains, what it has. It involves this water cycle. We already know what the water cycle is in the atmosphere, where water from the ocean evaporates into the atmosphere and becomes clouds, and then the clouds become rain, and they fall on the land, and the water flows into rivers, and the rivers flow into the ocean, and the cycle repeats itself over again.
Right. So how does it work inside a sealed glass jar or a terrarium? Here it's explained. There's water in the soil. Soil is dirt. And that water is absorbed or taken in by the plant roots. And then it's released from the leaves. It's the leaves that release that water. And then that water gathers on the glass. And then it kind of trickles down. So you can see some of that water inside the glass jar. and it drips back into the soil as it drips down the glass. And it allows plants to thrive with minimal care. You still have to take care of them. They can't get too big. You might have a problem plant that doesn't like to grow very well or doesn't get along with the other plants. You might have to remove one and replace it with something else.
So you can always be opening it at times to fix things. You don't have to keep it closed forever.
No. And if you're talking about something thriving, it could be a plant, an animal, a person. It means they're growing very, very well. They're developing well. If a child is thriving in an environment, it tells parents, they're doing very well here. They must be happy. They're not afraid. They feel loved or at least well cared for. This is a good thing. But if your child comes home from school and won't talk to you about it or cries, parents should know there's a problem. So, yeah, thriving is a very positive word.
Okay, well, we've talked about terrariums so far. You might be wondering how the heck you can get one yourself. Well, today, building a terrarium combines creativity with scientific principles. Okay, so here's what you need to do. Start by choosing a clear glass container with a wide opening, and that opening should be at the top. And at the bottom, layer stones or pebbles to help water flow out, and then add activated charcoal to maintain a clean environment. So these are the things you need to do to get started. First of all, you need to get a clear glass container. The glass should be clear. You can see through it, and it's got a wide opening at the top. Okay, and then at the bottom, you put stones in layers, layer after layer. Those are stones, and pebbles, of course, are small stones. And you have the stones and the pebbles there to help the water flow out. And then you add activated charcoal to maintain a clean environment. I'm not quite sure exactly myself why you would add this. You've done this before. What purpose does the charcoal serve?
Well, I haven't done this since I was in elementary school. And our teacher never talked about activated charcoal. That's a little advanced for kids. But yeah, I would say that, I don't know, we can take activated charcoal to help our bodies. So it cleans out something. I think it's for the gases that accumulate in that closed jar. If there's too much gas, it probably could be harmful to the plant. So it's an interesting question, though. Look that up, guys. I wanted to mention when I did my terrarium, we were given jars that looked like small pickle jars, and we had tiny hands. Little kids don't have big hands. You just have to have a wide enough opening that you can get your hand down to the bottom to place those rocks or pebbles on the bottom and then put the soil in. But you have to have an opening that's big enough for you to take what you need and put it in place. So that's important. But a pickle jar works if you're a small kid or if you have very small hands. So that's why a wide opening is better if you're a big person. Now, Tom mentioned at the bottom, you go by layers. So you've got a layer of stones, pebbles. That keeps the water away from the roots. If the roots are always in water, it will kill your plant. That's why you want to make sure that's your first layer. And then you put the activated charcoal there. And the next step is to add or put in moist soil. If it's moist, it's slightly damp. It's not wet, but it does have a wettish feel to its damp. Usually if you buy a bag of soil at the store, I have a 胜利百货公司 on my corner. And when I buy a bag of soil, and I buy it like every year, it's already kind of damp inside. It's moist. So I don't have to add a lot of water. But you're going to put that moist soil, and you're going to then turn and select the little plants you want to put down there. Not seeds, guys, plants. So they've already sprouted. You can see leaves on them. They've got roots. You'll need those things. And you need to pick the right kind of plants that are suited for humid environments. Don't put a cactus down there.
No.
Cactus love heat, and they love dry heat. Don't put a cactus in a terrarium. use your wisdom with this. Put the plants that really like water and humidity.
Right. So ferns, of course, would work well with this. Again, they're 蕨类 is ferns, and moss is what grows on rocks and things like that. So they're moist, and those would be quite suitable. And incorporate decorations. Use decorations like rocks, wood, or small statues to make your terrarium your own, to personalize it. And finally, place it in an area with indirect sunlight, as you said earlier, and watch it transform into a source of natural beauty. So those are the steps involved in creating a terrarium. And, if you can't do this yourself, maybe someone can help you. I'm sure they probably have terrarium supplies at the plant markets in various parts of Taiwan.
Sure. Moving on, besides their visual appeal, they're very pretty to look at. Terrariums offer substantial benefits, good things for people. Research has confirmed the positive psychological effects of nature and gardening. If you're feeling stressed or you're unhappy, go out and do some gardening or go out in nature and take a hike. It'll make you feel better. Assembling or putting together a terrarium is healing. It actually makes you feel a lot better, and it aids in stress relief, which is always important, and it improves your mental health. You'll have a more positive outlook. This process also sparks creativity and allows for personal expression. Every terrarium that you see will be a little different from another one, which is fun. Additionally, terrariums serve as practical demonstrations of ecological principles, teaching valuable lessons about plant care and ecology. Ecology is the branch of biology that deals with organisms and plants and how they relate together and how they are happy in their ecosystem.
So it's very educational, and I'm sure you could probably figure out a way to make a lot of money from having a terrarium. And here in the final paragraph it says, building a terrarium is an accessible project for anyone and ideal for today's busy lifestyles thanks to their low-maintenance nature. So it's accessible, which means people can do this. Anybody can do it. You don't have any special skills. You don't need to have special skills or special education. Pretty much anybody can do it. And yes, indeed, you might have a busy lifestyle. So doing something like this will make you feel more relaxed. It will take your mind off your troubles. So why not join the terrarium trend? Take part in this trend or this activity. Release your creativity and enjoy the satisfaction of growing your very own miniature oasis. So if you have satisfaction, that means you do something and you feel happy as a result. And yes, indeed, this is something that can give you satisfaction. You'll feel very satisfied when you make your own terrarium.
You might be wondering, what's this word at the end there? Oasis. Oasis. It's a spot usually in a desert where water is suddenly found. Around all of this sand, that's what an oasis is. So this can actually give you your very own miniature oasis inside your house, no matter how big or small it is. We hope you get a chance to try this out, guys. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher for a final time.
好，原来啊，这个手作生态瓶呢，它是有19世纪一个英国的植物学家，他有一个概念，他有个想法。那所以呢，后来我们看第4个句子，制作出了这个所谓的华德香，因为他去观察整个生态循环的方式。那也因为华德香的关系，后来全球植物运输的方式呢，就有一些改变，就是早期的生态瓶。那我们可以看得到它的概念是什么，从第5个句子开始就去做介绍了。这里面呢，就是一个 simple but effective water cycle， 所以水是循环的，也就是因为如此，所以手作生态瓶是不需要每天呢去给植物浇水的。那第7个句子，虽然你没有每天去浇水，可因为水循环的这个概念，所以水分会聚集在玻璃上，再回到土壤当中，那让这些植物呢，它是可以茁壮的。请同学看到不定词 allowing plants to thrive， 这个不定词后面 thrive 这个动词呢，就是特别去形容植物的茁壮生长，我们用的是 thrive 这个动词。再来，请同学呢看到第3段的第3个句子 At the bottom, layer stones or pebbles to help water flow out. 第3段就在教我们怎么样去创作这个生态瓶嘛，所以一步一步引导我们。你看到第2个句子也是祈使句，第3个句子也一样。所以这个 layer 呢，它是原形动词，这里是动词哦，不是名词一层一层的，就意思我们把石头或者鹅卵石铺平，那让水有这个空隙，它可以排出去。再来，请看到呢第4个句子，这里进一步的去说这些植物它是怎么样呢？你要找到的植物它是适合潮湿的这些条件的。Select plants suited for humid conditions. 所以这些植物适合 suited for。好，再来我们看到第4段的第1个句子。那我们当然知道说这些生态瓶这样看起来小小的很可爱嘛，所以视觉上很不错。Besides their visual appeal， 所以他们在视觉上是很美观的。那但是除了美观以外，这种手作生态瓶它还有其他的好处呢。所以从研究我们就发现了，其实对我们的这个心理是有正面的影响的 positive psychological effects， 因为这是一个小小的自然生态，对我们人有正面的影响。尤其是你在制作的过程当中，它是相当疗愈的。第3个句子 healing， 那你去制作把这些不同的植物组合起来的时候呢，它是相当疗愈的。那怎么个疗愈法呢？它可以帮助我们 aiding in， 在哪一方面有帮助啊？ stress relief， 舒压，而且呢也让我们的心理更健康。好，再来我们看到第4个句子，而且在创作的过程当中，其实会让我们可以展现创造力，它会激发我们的创造力。动词所用的是 sparks， 这个创作过程 this process also sparks creativity， 请同学特别注意的是词语搭配。再来看到第5个句子，好，这个手作的生态瓶它还有一个目的，有一个功用，后面这个动词片语就是 serve us。手作生态瓶呢，它也可以让我们看得到生态的原则是什么。好，那最后第5段，请同学特别注意到第1个句子有一个词汇很值得认识，就是后面那 lower 这些手作生态瓶，它们其实是很好照顾的 low maintenance nature。low maintenance 所指的就是你不需要很费心的去照顾它们，它们可以活得很好。Low maintenance。 好，以上就是我们针对这个单元所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
Okay, everybody, that's all the time we have for today, but don't waste time listening to us. Head out to your local plant store or plant market and buy some supplies to make your own terrarium. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to try it myself. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.